Welcome to Ink and Fitness. For those that are new to the channel, my name is Anthony. I'm someone who went from skinny to fit, and these videos are purely educational. So this way, if you are new to the gym, if you're also someone who's skinny, then you can take what you're learning inside of these videos, apply them, be consistent with them, of course, and get your own results. In terms of today's video topic, though, we're going to be discussing some muscle building myths that you could still possibly be believing, right? And these are the myths that I used to believe in way back then in the beginning of my own fitness journey. So when I speak about these myths, I speak about them because they come from a place of experience. These are mistakes that I've made. These are some things that I used to believe that were very counterproductive in terms of maximizing muscle growth. So to get into the very first slide, we're going to talk about a very big myth, which is the more sets and the more reps that you do equates to gaining more muscle mass, which couldn't be further from the truth at all whatsoever. We always like to think, though, as human beings in general, the more we do, the better the outcome or the better said result will be, right? But in fitness, that is not the case at all whatsoever. We cannot do these very high sets, very high reps, because as natural lifters, we can't do that much workload, especially since we're just starting out in the gym. So, especially if you're a newbie, if you are a new gym beginner who has never touched a weight in your life and you think doing 4 to 5 sets of 10 to 12 reps of every exercise is efficient to your progress in making muscle, making gains, that is far from the truth. And you are shooting yourself in the foot if you're doing that. Because as natural lifters, if we do a very high volume approach to training, that is going to increase our chances of overtraining, which in turn is going to lead to us having an increased chance of getting injured, which in turn, if we do end up getting injured, we have to take a long time off of the gym, which does mess with our psyche, our mindset. And overall, as far as the mindset portion or as far as the mindset side of thing goes, if we train in this way for a prolonged period of time, we will get burnt out eventually, and we'll feel like working out in this way is too much for us to handle, and we're gonna steer off in the wrong direction, or just completely hop off on the current path that we're in terms of our fitness journey because it's just too much for us to handle, so we give up. But that should not be the reality of fitness. That is not the reality of fitness, actually, would be much better said, because it's all about the quality of your sets and reps, not the quantity of the sets and reps that you do. And apart from this, before I kind of get into the solution to this myth, right, what you should actually be doing instead of following this myth, is that something that I want you guys to realize is that most people that perform, or excuse me, that promote a high volume approach to training are usually 7 times out of 10 on some sort of performance enhancing drug that allows for them to do that amount of high volume, to do that amount of high reps, because their body, being enhanced athletes, it sounds like I'm fucking speaking to Captain America or saying that these people are Captain Americas because they, got the secret sauce, the soldier serum, right? But it kind of is that way in a way, quote unquote, right? They're not gonna have freakish strength, anything where they can lift up trucks or anything like that, or crazy endurance where they can run 5 miles in 20 minutes or nothing like that, right? But what I am saying is that athletes who are enhanced, typically they can recover a lot quicker than us natural athletes. So that's why they can do super high volume, super high reps, or 6, 7 days out of the week that there are, and still be able to keep up that performance for weeks on end, months on end, maybe even years on end. So keep that in mind. Us as natural lifters, we can't do that. We need more time to recover. And so that means we have to lower the volume, we have to lower the reps a little bit too, And what we need to focus on the most is all about the quality of each rep that we do within each set that we perform, within each exercise that we do inside of that particular training session for that day. So, the solution to this, or really what you should be following instead of this myth of doing more sets, more reps, is that if you really want to maximize muscle gain, you should lower the sets, lower the reps a little bit, and focus on the quality of each of those sets instead of the quantity. And so what I mean by focusing on the quality is focusing on your form. Pick a moderately heavy weight where you can exert yourself, keep your form intact, and take each rep or each set, excuse me, till failure or close to failure. If you train in that way as a natural athlete, hell, even as an enhanced athlete, I'm sure, you'll get amazing results with it, right? But as natural athletes, as for myself as a natural athlete, I have gotten the most gains, the most results from training in this way. Second myth, the shorter the rest time, the better. Typically, beginners will take rest times of 60 to 90 seconds. This is something that I used to do back then when I started my fitness journey. I used to take these super short rest times of 60 to 90 seconds. I thought that the sooner or the shorter the rest time, the better, just because that means that the muscle is still fatigued. That means I can still work it out. That means I can trash that muscle harder, all that kind of good stuff, right? So, so for beginners, or for myself, sometimes we believe in this myth because we see other fitness coaches take that amount of rest in between sets, or some of us just don't know any better, right? We don't know what a good accurate rest time is or what amount of times we should rest in between sets. So we just pick what seems to be right or what seems to be a really good amount of time to rest and we just kind of go with it. So by taking short rest times, it only signifies one thing and one thing only. And that is the fact that you are not exerting yourself anywhere near enough that you can be exerting yourself to maximize muscle growth. So again, this goes with the whole premise, the whole topic of training to failure or training close to failure. If you're not training in either both of those ways, that means that you're not training hard enough. That means that you're probably taking 60 to 90-second rest times and you feel somewhat good and you just go ahead and rip out the next set. So to combat this, or really the thing you should be following, or the statement you should be following, is taking a little bit longer of rest times, anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. 3 minutes on the lower end for isolation exercises, and 5 minutes for compound exercises like bench press, squats, and deadlifts. Think about it. Think about this. If you are truly exerting yourself to failure or close to failure, you will need those full 3 to 5 minutes to rest because you're going to be hurting in the best way possible. So you're going to need that full amount of time to rest to recover so that way you can hit the next set just as hard as you hit the first set. So don't go on and keep believing that 60 to 90-second rest times are the best. 3 to 5 minutes truly is the best. You'll need it, especially if you are training close to failure or till failure. And most importantly, a lot of people think that because they take these long rest times that they're going to be in the gym forever, but that is not true at all whatsoever. If you take those or that short, excuse me, if you take that amount of rest time, if you lower the sets, if you lower the reps a little bit, you're going to be in and out of the gym within the hour. So you will find that you're going to be really making your time inside of the gym super, super efficient. Moving forward though, let's go on to the next slide. The next big myth a lot of people, believe, something that I tend to believe or would believe back in the day, is that a high reps, low weight for definition, and low reps, high weight for muscle building. So this first statement here usually um, people believe is best for cutting. So when you're doing your cutting phase, and the second statement here, low reps, high weight for muscle building, is people usually believe is best for bulking, right? Bulking phases. This is the oldest myth in the book. I still hear this so often nowadays, and it's not frustrating, I guess. That's not the right word I'm looking for here, but it's kind of like it's an annoyance, I guess, is the best way to describe it. It's not like super annoying or anything, but it's just kind of like a eye twitcher, I guess, to say the least. Because it is a big myth. It's the oldest myth in the book. Regardless if you're cutting or bulking, your style of training should not change whatsoever. You should keep things exactly the same. That makes no sense why you should change up your style of training. Sure, when you're cutting, you're going to be at a loss for energy, but that's okay. Like that's a no-brainer. That's going to happen, right? You're depleting yourself of carbs or fats depending on, how you cut or whatever, right? In general, you're just lowering your calories, so that means you're going to be a little bit, you're not going to have as much fuel in the tank as you're used to. But regardless of that, your style of training should not change at all whatsoever. Just because you're a little bit more tired than you're used to does not mean you should just pick the lightest weight in the world and do a shit ton of reps for it, right? Because it's a little bit easier or because it's going to provide more definition. No, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. What is going to provide the definition that you're looking for in your cutting phases is that cutting, right? Cutting your calories. Eating in a deficit is what is going to make you defined, lean, or shredded, right? Whatever, kind of like whatever you're trying to strive for when it comes to cutting phases. But to say that high reps, low weight is going to be the main thing responsible for definition is the biggest load of shit ever. That is not true at all whatsoever. Not true. That is a big false. A caloric deficit, being in one, is what's gonna cause you to be defined, lean, toned, and shredded. If you want to get to that point, right, of being shredded. So that in turn means that the way that you train is not responsible for you being more lean or shredded. And of course, like the way you train, it does play a big impact in how you look, right? How your physique is structured, the shape of your muscles, that sort of stuff. But you just can't go ahead and just start, changing your style of training just because you're cutting or bulking or whatsoever. So all in all, your style of training should be the same all the way through, right? All year round, regardless if you're cutting or bulking. So you should always opt in for the style of training that I mentioned, either training close to failure or till failure. So that means picking a moderate weight, doing 2 sets on average, between the rep ranges of 6 to 8. Progressive overload, of course, you want to make sure you progressively overloading, because that's the foundation of hypertrophy training. So that way you get the most results. You maximize muscle growth, regardless if you're cutting or bulking. And then last but not least, in terms of a myth here, we got the bro split is the best split. I used to do the bro split for a while, before I found out, it's not really the most best way to train if you're trying to maximize muscle growth. Um, I moved on to push pull legs after that, and ever since then, I've been experimenting with different splits. But now I'm pushing or running the Arnold split, which is the best split ever, in my opinion. I might switch it up though, because I've been hearing from different fitness influencers or fitness coaches, excuse me, that I trust, that I love, that are science based, that are all about maximizing muscle growth. That upper body, lower body is a really great split to hit, just because of the higher frequency that you're hitting each muscle group. And so that kind of leads into the point or the main point inside the slide. The higher frequency you hit the muscles, the better. Anywhere between 2 to 3 times per week in terms of, the amount of times that you're hitting each muscle group is ideal for maximum muscle growth. Because if you're just hitting each muscle group once per week, that's fine, right? You're going to still see results, but they're going to be minimal results opposed to if you were to train each muscle group 2 to 3 times per week. I choose to train each muscle group 2 times per week, just because I'm not, I guess, I could train it 3 times per week, just depending on the split. I could do 3 full body days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or, whatever, whatever days I want to go, or, or I could just keep doing the same thing that I've been doing, right? But either way, training the muscle groups 2 to 3 times per week is, really maximize the muscle growth. If you want to do 3 times per week, go ahead if you're able to do it. If you're able to do it twice per week, perfect. That's really the bare minimum, right? You're still maximizing muscle growth and you're not losing out on any gains whatsoever. So any other split other than the bro split would be beneficial to do because of those reasons that I just stated. That concludes the video for today, you guys. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, comment down below if there's something in particular that you all want to see. I'd love to make any video topics that you guys feel like you need or any questions or about any questions that you guys may have. So leave those down in the comment section. For those interested in one-to-one coaching, feel free to check that out. It's down below in the description. I'd be happy to hop on a call with you all and see what I could best do for you. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your day, you guys. Take care. Much love to you all, and see you in the next video. Peace.